So I found this Reddit post that I wanted to talk about here today because it pertains to the sell or hold question, and I wanted to give my thoughts about just people in general asking, should I buy, should I hold, should I sell this thing? I want to talk about that here today. But let's just read the post and I'll give my thoughts. So the title is just sell or keep. They said they were offered $7,950 for the Evolving Skies case, which honestly, it's not really a case. It's open. Once the case is open, it's not really a case. I guess if all the booster boxes inside are originally from that sealed case, maybe you could say that. But honestly, when it's open, it doesn't really matter. But the individual box price comes out to be $1,325. So they say they believe a booster box easily is going to go for $2,000 in 2 years. So I am kind of thinking, why not just keep it for another year or two? What are your thoughts? So I want to first just start off by, talking about this whole question that people ask, should I buy or should I sell or hold this item? It's so hard to say, right? It's like, what are you really trying to ask? Are you trying to ask, like, financially, is this the best time to sell? Because let's say at this price point, it's going to stagnate for multiple years and then it's going to start going up. And if I were to sell now, I could use my money for something else. Like, is that the question people are trying to get answered? Because other than that, to say to sell or, hold something, it's really hard because the biggest thing in the space that really differentiates people in their time frames and how they invest is your financial position and where you're at in your life. There are some people investing in a Pokemon that have large amounts of their total portfolio or their just net worth in Pokemon, and there's other people that have a very small amount in Pokemon. So depending on what situation you're in, like, it really can depend. And for example, this Evolving Skies booster box case here, to some people, $8,000 might be life changing money. They might have bills, debt they have to pay off, and they could really use this to pay off that debt so they don't have to pay interest on it anymore. Like, you can do a lot of things in this space, and it just really depends on your situation. If this person, was in that case, maybe they have credit card debt or maybe a car payment, whatever it is, right? And they can sell some of the stuff, make good profit. I don't know what they didn't say what they bought this at. If they can make good margins, let's say they bought this when this was like $100 a booster box, let's just say theoretically, right? If they can make huge margins and they have some bills they have to pay, selling some off now, even though yes, it will keep going up, might not be a bad idea, right? And especially in a strong market where selling this would definitely be very easy, that definitely is a route to go on. But let's say this person is in the scenario where they're rich. Let's say $8,000 is nothing to them. They don't really care about $8,000. Then obviously, why would you sell, right? And this is where you can see this whole, talk about selling, holding, or buying anything. It's really hard because you don't know people's position in their, like, financial, I guess, life, and you don't know also how long people's time frames are, and there's just so many variables that it's really hard to say. But if you were to simplify this question in terms of, let's say, like, going back to what I said, like, let's say they want to just know, is this the perfect time to sell? I mean, that's even impossible to answer, right? Because Evolving Skies right now, if you look at where it's at around $1,500 market price. You can see the past recent sales have been 1,500. These have been sort of messing up the market price. But it's around 1,500. You can find some still on eBay for 1,300, but they have multiple official sales at 1,500. So this is a $1,500 booster box. Now, at this price point, it might seem expensive, right? But there's so many other sets and booster boxes from, like, Sun and Moon that are way more expensive. For example, Team Up, that the best, or I guess it's sort of up for debate, but best, modern, most craziest modern main set of all time, for it to be $1,500 in Team Up. I don't even know what that booster box is going for anymore. Like, I haven't checked in a very long time, but I know it's way more than 1,500. It shows that this box still has a lot of growth. So if you were to say, is now the best time, it probably isn't, because if you look at Team Up, it's what, maybe 2-3 years older than Evolving Skies. In 2 or 3 years, will this be somewhat close to Team Up? Maybe not, because Team Up definitely didn't get printed as much as Evolving Skies, but it could, right? And these are things where it's like, it's so hard to answer the question. And if I were this person, you know, I, it really would we would really have to know their financial position and also what their margins are on this product too, because that's a big thing. If they bought these each for $100, selling literally just one off right now would cover their whole cost and they could keep everything for free and technically no risk, right? But let's say they bought this, each booster box at like $1,000 and they're making what, like $325 off of each. Then holding might be a better option, right? Because their margins aren't as great and maybe they're more incentivized to hold. There's just so many things you could talk about, and honestly, them saying they're gonna go to $2,000 in 2 years, I feel like it probably could be quicker than that. But if they even have this thought process of it's gonna go up to 2,000 in 2 years, let's say that's what happens, that's a 50% gain on I guess what they would receive right now at 1325. They would get 50% more money in 2 years, which is average 25% a year. So if that's their thought process and they truly believe that, why are they asking if they should sell? It seems like themselves, if they really think that, they should probably hold, right? But I guess they just wanted to, put the question out there for people to get their opinions, and that's perfectly fine. But if they really think that's going to happen, which I think is not crazy to think, why would you sell, right? 25% a year is great, right? So, in my opinion, should they sell or keep? The easy answer, and I always talk about it, is sell some, keep some. Maybe if they bought each for around $100 to $300, sell one off now. You can cover your whole cost, and then everything is good. Everything's profit after that. Or if you bought maybe at a higher price and whatever your case may be, if you don't need the money, then you don't really need to sell. It's really not like this stuff is really not rocket science. Like I think people think about it too much. If you need the money and you want to put in something else, sell some. If you don't need it and you're perfectly fine without it, then you don't have to sell. But you could argue also, there's another factor that I guess I'm going to talk about here on this ramble, is liquidity. Where are you going to sell this item? Are you going to sell it on eBay yourself on a personal account? Or are you going to, have one of those people that you can, consign with? What route are you going? There's some people that obviously might be scared to sell this personally online because if the box reaches a few $1,000s, some people get scared of selling stuff, which I would be too. I don't really want to sell something that's thousands of dollars on eBay because there's a lot of scammers that could possibly make your life pretty hard. Definitely there are good people out there, but when you're selling something that expensive, yeah, I can kind of be wary a little bit. Like you want to be kind of cautious doing that. So that's why there are those consignment services out there that would sort of help that out. So you could go that route. But if you're trying to sell, maybe in person or not do anything online, and you're scared of whatever reasons that may be, doing stuff online, selling in person for high dollar amount stuff is going to be harder. So even online, like depending on what price point it gets to, it will be slower to sell stuff. But Evolving Skies, I feel like just long term, it probably won't have any problem selling. So I feel like with this set, liquidity might be a little bit of not as a relevant topic because Evolving Skies just is such a popular set. But that is another thing to think about holding boxes when they get to the thousands and thousands of dollars is liquidity. So let's just read some of the comments. We'll be done with the video. The answer is always the same. If you desperately need the money, sell. If you don't, just hold. Looks like I'll be holding until I die. See, like that's the problem people don't understand. Is like, okay, when do you sell? If you never need the money for any of this stuff, when do you cash out, right? It's like, I don't know. Some people, if you're like a multimillionaire in this stuff, a few $1,000s is nothing, then I guess cool. But, I always take profits along the way. I've never been the person to say I'm holding all this to the end of time. I'm holding this for 10, 20 years. I don't do that. Like my end goal for most of the stuff, for what I have is at least having a case of booster boxes long term. I don't want to have like 6 or 7 cases of booster boxes like $1,000 each because then I could go a lot of routes, I guess, selling them, but I don't want to hold that many booster boxes that are expensive. Holding one case long term for me is good enough, and most of that honestly is just to have for my personal collection. Like I want to have these booster boxes when I'm older. I'll sell some off and I'll keep some for myself. That's kind of my goal, and along the way I can sell some and make money. I don't want to hold cases and cases and cases of booster boxes forever. That's not really my goal here. I want to sort of make money along the way and be able to keep some for myself long term. So that's just my strategy. But I'm not one of those people that just is going to hold everything. People really struggle making their own decisions, don't they? People also love flexing indirectly. So I mean, I guess it's sort of a flex to have Evolving Skies booster boxes, but it's not like a crazy thing. Um, and I guess, yeah, I mean, this is sort of true. Like, we don't, like, this person definitely knows their finances more than we do, right? So, like, why don't they just figure it out? If they don't need the money, then what are they even asking, right? Open them. There must be like 20 Moonbryons in there at least. I remember back then, I think I opened like 3 or 4 Evolving Skies booster boxes and I got literally nothing. I don't think I even pulled in alternate art. Like, I'm pretty sure I didn't pull anything. And after that, that was the time when I was literally just ripping everything. And at that time, I didn't even have a sealed collection. And yeah, I mean, I wish I would have held on to those because, yeah, I mean, 4 Evolving Skies booster boxes would be pretty good right now. It's a fair offer. It's about what they go for. Yeah, it's pretty fair. Yeah, it depends on what their buying cost was. They answer this about 4K. So they would have roughly doubled their money. Honestly, at 4K, yeah, I mean at 4K, it shouldn't really matter too much. But at $4,000, I'd probably just wait a little bit, in my opinion, because if their gains were insane, like if they bought each at like $100, then obviously I think selling one off would be probably a better option. Even selling one, I mean, they're still making like what, like a good amount of money off of each. So, but at 4,000, maybe you'd be more incentivized to keep holding. Seep, I don't know what that means. No way I'm selling my Evolving Skies booster boxes. This set bleeps over team up every day. The scarcity goes up. It's only a matter of time before we're looking at 2K booster box. Yeah, that's what I said. Honestly, I think by the end of this year, it's very possible this is going to be over $2,000. I mean, if you look at the growth of this box within the past like 6 months, like look at this, 50% in 6 months. Obviously, when prices go up higher, like growth might be a little bit more stagnant and stuff. But if you can just see this where it was at, like this is a different set. So yeah, 2,000 by the end of the year, I think is very possible. Keep if you don't need the money. If that's an all cash offer, I take the money and reinvest. Sell half the box, keep half, since it's not a sealed case anyways. People forget it's not necessarily easy to offload a $2,000 collectible. We have not reached the era in which a large number of people kept sealed as much product as possible. Casual hobbyists, investors included, everyone in their grandma's holding keeping sealed, and they know what they have. At a certain point, high prices are unsustainable because when people need to sell, they will have to take far less than I guess the market value. You can make that statement, but I think this Pokemon market is pretty big. Where I feel like even in times when the market isn't super strong, once vintage and like once these modern boxes become more on the vintage side and older, I don't think it'll be as that much of an issue. And I feel like when boxes get that old, like there's really no market price because there's not enough sales. So I guess that argument could make sense, but I mean, there's been plenty of times where I think you could argue that boxes that are that old in down markets still perform pretty well, and we've seen it happening. So I don't know if that's the best argument. Give it to me. No one cares about your flex. This dude's kid will have the same booster box case of his and will ask the exact same question in 30 years. Should I sell now or hold? And then it will continue for eternity. Imagine opening up the flaps on the case and discover that you sliced through all 6 booster boxes with your box cutter. Okay, so I think that's enough of this post. What do you guys think? What would you do in their scenario? They bought them for $4,000. They have this offer. What would you do? Would you sell some? Would you sell it all? Would you keep everything? Let me know what you guys would do and why. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.